Welcome to the Nerd Culture's Dead podcast. I'm your host and thoroughly nerd Zac. Today's topic will be the zombie apocalypse. And to help me discuss this topic, today's guests will be Jen at Nerd Culture's Dead, and Todd, author, comedian, and overall just a really cool guy. Before we rip this open, let's hear from our guest a little bit about himself so we understand where he's coming from.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. My name is Todd Feren. I have some zombie books that I've written, some zombie plays that I've produced, and I in general I love zombies. Like, I am very passionate about zombies and what they mean to the horror genre in general. Like, they're my favorite. We can delve into the reasons why I think that's like an incredible story mechanism. But yeah, I just really love zombies.
Oh, fantastic. Well, there's no better place to start about zombies than the well-established history that they have. So, Todd, I understand that you have a well-versed knowledge in the history of zombies?
Yes, racism. It's a very, very, like everything in this world, racism. Well, no, because it originated in Haiti.
Really?
Haiti had a slave revolt. And so people were genuinely, there was this constant fear of Haiti because the slaves turned on their slave masters. And, that's where you have these witch doctors who practice voodoo and, claimed to, just so you imagine this, you're on the streets in Haiti. And so, in Haiti, imagine you're walking down the streets in Haiti and someone that you know for a fact, this person has been dead for years.
All right, Brandon, super dead. Good, go on.
But you see them walking across the street. And when you approach them, you say something to them, and they look at you with unrecognizing eyes. They don't know who you are. They don't respond to you. And that was the classic, like, zombie with an I. Z-O-M-B-I was how that was spelled. And that was, a lot of it was superstition. And now we know that there were certain medications that people who were abducted were given to put them in this, basically drugged out state.
Almost comatose out.
Right. But that was, essentially, they were slaves. They were still working in the field, and, some of them were still shackled around their ankles, which is why you get this kind of shambling zombie, because they couldn't really walk. But then in 1932, there was an American film called White Zombie, with an I as well. And that was, of course, that was white people. A white woman gets turned into a mindless zombie. Now, they weren't flesh-eating zombies. It was literally voodoo was controlling these people. And that was a terrifying thing to be in the 30s, to be a white woman in a foreign land where the people around you were not white, but now you were under their control. So there's very like a racist sort of introduction of the zombie idea into America.
Very closed off, yeah.
Well, and if you look at zombie, just the films, all zombie stories over the course of this time, there's usually some sort of cultural messaging behind it. If you go to the original Night of the Living Dead, there were political messages about that, about blindly following, being a mindless drone, a zombie. And then in the second, Dawn of the Dead, where they go into the mall. That was an allegory for consumerism and how we would just gobble up whatever products were put before us. So there's always, at least in what I feel are the good zombie stories, there is some sort of grand messaging behind it. The zombies are more tool of the storyteller.
Yeah, some metaphor going on in the background. Right. They just kind of have to pay attention to.
Well, and I've always thought, and this is something like whenever I have like conversations with people about zombies, it's always that zombies are not the threat. Like in what I feel is a good zombie story, zombies aren't the threat. Zombies are the atmospheric condition outside. Why are we trapped inside of this building? We can't go outside. There's a hurricane. There's zombies. They're adding to the tension. Because if you think about one zombie, one classic shambling zombie walks into this room right now, we could just walk around the table and be okay.
Yeah.
Like that one zombie is not scary. It's when you get a horde. When you get thousands of zombies, who don't get tired, who don't sleep, who don't, need to eat or take bathroom breaks. They're just nonstop, relentlessly following. So what do you do? I mean, in a realistic scenario, if zombies just popped up and we as a society say, well, zombies are real, it's happening. I mean, we know with COVID there would be...
It works so well for us.
There would be people who say, nah, it's not real.
Well, funny you mentioned COVID. I'm wondering if COVID in itself is responsible for the mini revival we've seen in the zombie subgenre.
You know what? You do see it. It's constantly... It gets revived, but there's usually a revival around major political change. And gosh, you know what? There was I should have looked this up, but there was someone that did research a while ago that said zombie movies do better in the States. Zombie movies do better during a
pandemic,
like an election or something.
No, but it was during one political, like during a Republican president. Mm-hmm. I think it was during a Democratic president. Zombies are the primary scary monster, and during a Republican presidency, it's vampires. But it was like no one really understood why the popularity kind of bounced between the two. But the best guess that I've heard was in zombies represent consumerism and mindlessly moving forward, not thinking, just following the crowd. This kind of like herd mentality, and vampires are more someone is draining you. Like someone is leeching off of you or stealing your
big capitalist who's shackling you down, right?
Right. So yeah, it does kind of go back and forth. And I think when did you might have actually put it on this handy dandy list, but the
we did research for this one, guys. There's a little bit more work into this episode.
Hey, we put a solid 2 ounces of work in before. I noted for Jurassic Park.
Let's see. I have the future in my hands. World War Z.
I actually don't have that on this list. I hated that movie so much. I love the book, though.
The book is incredible. And for anyone that doesn't know, the movie only has the title of the book. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing else in that movie has anything to do with the book.
The tie-in video game is better than the movie, and that's saying something.
Yeah. I mean, zombies in video games is great, too, which...
that's a whole other topic we can.
But speaking of zombies in video games, in Resident Evil 4 was the first, the introduction of the world to the fast-moving zombie. And the reason that they did that was because suddenly you had this, normally in these games, you start off as a person, you get a gun, you're trying to find ammunition. Yeah, slow zombies are challenging when you don't have these weapons, but Resident Evil 4, you're a person that has like weapons right out of the gate. You have all of these skills.
A military man in this one.
Yeah, but so they said, oh, well, we have to up the ante. So they just made the zombies faster as a device, but little did they know that would kind of open up a whole Pandora's box of debate between zombie lovers. Is a fast zombie a zombie?
Well, I mean, you talked earlier about the Democratic presidency having a lot to do with the cultural appreciation for zombie movies.
Right.
Back in 2008 was when we saw the release of Call of Duty World at War, which introduced us to the Nazi zombies game.
And I think the reason that they're Nazi zombies is because either way you could shoot them.
It's easy to hate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, how do we make a zombie worse?
Make it a Nazi.
Make it a Nazi zombie. So there was someone during playtesting that was like, I don't know. I don't want to shoot this zombie. I don't know what he was. Well, oh, yeah, I'll shoot him. I'll kill them all.
And they do it in South Park, too. In the video game, The Stick of Truth, they also add zombie Nazis in there.
Right.
But, like, that's the thing. It's not only is it the fast zombie, it's the Nazi zombie, or, like, the weird hybrid, or, like, the bloaters, or the screamers. Like, it's a whole new evolution of all of them at that point.
Left 4 Dead.
I was just going to say, Left 4 Dead 2 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. And that you do have the wide gambit of slow zombies and fast zombies. And man, yeah, there is something terrifying about
all of it.
Zombies running at you. And I think the first time that it really kind of hit me was 28 Days Later. That was like a big introduction to the whole world of. Do you guys swear on here? Have I sworn already?
But yeah, I fucked that up episode
okay,
once. Don't worry about it.
I was gonna say, like,
pause for 2 seconds though.
Yeah.
All right, where the fuck were we?
Zombies and games. Oh, Left 4 Dead is what we were talking about.
Left 4 Dead 2, yeah. Yeah,
Left 4 Dead 2, seeing a zombie run at you is immediately more terrifying. Because you say, okay, well, yeah, 1,000 zombies shambling towards me is pretty terrifying.
Oh no, I will saunter away.
Yeah.
I walk 4 feet, problem solved.
But that's actually like the real kind of terror is, yeah, you could walk away, but for how much longer can you walk? Because eventually you'll have to stop. And they don't. And that's in World War Z, the book. We were talking about, did we talk about that before we started recording or after?
Very briefly, we mentioned that the movie has nothing to do with the book, but that's as far as we go.
In the book, you have this general who's giving you this speech about, what total war is. Because they say total war, we're committing total war, meaning we will relentlessly attack your country until we win. But he says that's a bullshit notion because you can't fight 24 hours. But zombies can. And that's even if you have your people working in shifts, the zombies, every person they take down is a new person for their army. So they're going to just exponentially grow.
It's a war of attrition, and there's no way humanity can win.
No. I mean, in World War Z, spoilers, in the book, the book takes place after we've kind of successfully won. But the way that they do it, Max Brooks is brilliant. Because he shows the Battle of it's in New York. Somebody listening will know. There's a battle in New York where the U.S. government tries shock and awe on zombies, like every weapon we have, and but they're like, yeah, shock and awe works because you're scaring your enemy. But when it's a zombie, they're not scared. They're going to continue to march.
Yeah.
By I think it's millions. Up the street. So yeah, that doesn't work. Like we can't win that war that way. And in the book, they ultimately win by going old school, strapping bayonets, using rifles with bayonets that they're just stabbing zombies in the head. When I heard they were making the movie, I thought, which story are they going to tell?
Really, if they were going to do that, it would be way better as like a Netflix TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Where they could spend 45 minutes an episode explaining each of the stories.
I've said in the past, and I would still love to do this, I would still love to get other creators and do hey, we're all talking about the same global pandemic.
Directing like a different
but everyone, and like how I see it in my head is like, all right, in my story, we walk through a playground, like a public playground that has just been decimated by whatever tragedy happened there, but someone else directs that story about what happens in the playground in that world. So even though none of the characters like cross paths or do anything like that, you're still setting it up. This is something that happened in this world.
Yeah, and you're building the world as opposed to the characters.
Right. The zombie cinematic universe.
That'd be cool. That'd be a cool TV show.
Imagine the lore that could be written about that, though. The fall of humanity.
All of it. All of the lore.
I mean, there is a lot of post-humanity. Have you seen Sweet Tooth on Netflix?
Have not, no.
No, it's on my to-do list.
It's really good. They are doing a second season. It's not zombies, but it is a global pandemic that wipes out a huge portion of the population.
You say like 80%, right?
It was something crazy high. But these societies that are rebuilding, there is one moment in this story where like the town hall is inside of like basically a Burger King, a fast food restaurant. And because part of the story takes place post-pandemic, you see on the walls in this Burger King signs that say, keep your mask on, stay 6 feet away from the person in front of you. And when I saw that, I went, oh, this was done before the pandemic, but that's a little too close to home.
Yeah, the foresight they had there.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing, guys.
Yeah. So watch Sweet Tooth on Netflix to find out what happens to us all.
The end of this, what it becomes.
The other, like, going into zombie cinema, like another, obviously, George Romero, Night of the Living Dead, really was the American introduction, and they are called Romero zombies.
He really popularized the whole genre.
But also, if you look at that film, have you seen that film?
Not in a minute, but
another shocking thing in that movie was a black protagonist, which in a predominantly white cast, which wasn't done a lot at that time, and there were people that were upset by that. But again, the whole kind of point of that movie is to not follow this crowd of mindless people, and that's one of those things that shocked society back then. Mm-hmm. And on the set, you had people getting sick because they were eating pig intestines. Like, there were scenes where they were, like, grabbing intestines.
And they didn't fake that in the movie?
No, it was a very low-budget movie. So you go to a butcher shop and you get pig intestines.
You can do it, I guess, yeah.
But what they didn't account for was there are hot lights on the movie sets. Mm-hmm. They just kind of heated up.
These things rot right in front of them.
So people got sick from that. And who knows, that could have started the zombie apocalypse.
Or you could be the bath salts guy back in, was it 2012 or some shit?
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because the bath salts guy ate someone else's face.
Mm-hmm.
Just right in the Miami freeway.
Yeah, and suddenly it was Florida zombies.
What's more different than Florida Man? It's just level 2. He leveled up, guys.
Yeah, I mean, what's the next best thing to Nazi zombies? Zombie Floridians. The rest of the country would love to shoot away.
Slightly more dangerous.
Or somehow worse.
Yeah, we have gators.
Oh god,
let's go ahead
gator.
and take that into a discussion of the likelihood of a zombie apocalypse happening. Because I know one of the more realistic interpretations is it's in a Naughty Dog video game. I forgot the name just because now I'm thinking of it.
Oh, The Last of Us.
Yes, the parasitic idea of the zombie virus.
Mm-hmm.
So that is
it's got real world implications,
right? But I mean, that's mainly in bugs that it actually takes place. But it was brilliant. The game, for anyone who doesn't know, there's a fungus. God, I wish I remembered the name of it. But there's a fungus that actually grows and
like a spore,
releases spores that will, like, get into an ant's head, and it will control the ant, like a Haitian zombie sort of scenario, and it will instruct the ant to climb to the highest point that it can, latch on with its mandibles, and then, while it's still alive, the fungus grows out of its head and then explodes into another cloud of spores.
Yep.
But the cool thing is the ants, when they will sense when one of them has that spore, and they will physically pick him up and carry him away from the rest of the ant colony. Mm-hmm. Which, that's not really what we're doing.
Well, yeah, no. So animals handle pandemics better than humans.
Right. Well, not to veer too far off The Last of Us, but in what you just said, going back to World War Z, which is a very well thought out what would happen during an actual zombie apocalypse, what do we do with our sick? We take them to a hospital. Mm-hmm. So during the initial stages of an outbreak, a zombie outbreak, where do you not want to be? You don't want to be at the hospital, because that's just where it's going to kind of spread and grow.
That's ground zero.
And police stations. Mm-hmm. Basically, any place that is equipped to deal with any sort of pandemic.
Imagine the emergency shelters. Yeah. People are fleeing for their lives in panic, and it just ends up backfiring on them.
In the first book I wrote, which is called Inhuman, it's a zombie apocalypse story, but it's about a sociopath, a guy who, he's a self-aware sociopath. He doesn't consider himself human, but he considers himself pretending to be human. So when the zombie apocalypse happens, he's like, this is great. I can just sit inside. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to put on that mask anymore. he meets a dog, and the dog begins to act like the moral compass that he lacks. So the story is him developing this relationship for the first time in his life. But the thing that, as I was writing the book, and I put this in the book because it's first person, he's describing everything. This is something that I haven't seen anyone else deal with, and that's kind of why I put it in. But, what is it? 25% of the U.S. population has some form of mental illness, whether it's, I don't want to say run-of-the-mill depression, but that's pretty prevalent in society. But whether it's depression or
anxiety or some form of
PTSD, if a zombie apocalypse happens, none of those things are going to be easily accessible. So if you have someone who is currently taking antipsychotics, they're not going to be able to get those antipsychotics. Someone with crippling anxiety is not going to get that medicine that they need, or depression is not going to get that medicine they need. People with chemical imbalances are not going to be able to get that medicine they need. So what does that do to that percentage of society who needs that medicine? Like, that's something that I feel like, again, saying what I said before, I feel like zombies are a great tool as the hurricane, the weather pattern that we have to avoid. But as we know in Florida, when there's a hurricane, things shut down.
Or we just go fly kites and snowboard.
Right.
And, but...
And, but people would start self-medicating. I think it was are you guys Redditors? Are you on Reddit?
Oh, no, I'm afraid of Reddit.
That is a negative.
Reddit's fun. But the CEO of Reddit is one of those doomsday preppers.
Yep.
And I saw him in an interview, and he had mentioned having LASIK eye surgery. And the person doing the interview said, "Oh yeah, I guess, you got money. You can get your eyes fixed." And he said, No. When society falls, they're not going to make my prescription anywhere. That my glasses will be a hindrance. And that's another one of those things. Like, I'm wearing glasses, you're wearing glasses. If society falls,
yeah, you guys are fucked. I'm fine.
No.
I can see fine without them.
I wore this prescription for 8 years before going to the eye doctor again. I'll be fine.
Yeah, but if something happens, you break those glasses.
Then someone else will shoot the zombie. It's fine.
Right. Or here's another thing. Again, this doesn't get referenced enough, or at all. But have you ever cracked a tooth? Or broken a tooth, or gotten a cavity that was so painful.
Shit hurts.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
You're gonna rip out that tooth with a pair of pliers. Is what you're gonna do?
Yeah, you're gonna be
angry enough to do it.
Yeah, you're gonna use an ice skate like Tom Hanks did in Castaway. Like you're gonna try to yank out that tooth yourself, possibly cause another infection. And as things that we take for granted from in society, like I break my arm, I go to the hospital. No, that's not going to happen.
You break your arm in a zombie apocalypse. Sorry, you just lost an arm.
And I do think, that there is a contingency of people who would be helpful. But I also think, people are selfish. And when the antibiotics that are at the local pet store are running low, first of all, they're not going to run low. The first person that gets to that pet store is taking everything.
Yeah.
If we learned anything from toilet paper and COVID, we learned that people do not give a shit about other people. I have a bidet, so I was fine. I'm telling you, it'll change your life. But yeah, that's the stuff that I love about zombie lore. Those types of questions. In the sequel to Inhuman that I'm working on now, there's another thing that I don't want to say what it is here, but it was just going through that. What other effects would a zombie apocalypse have?
Well, even just minor things that you take for granted, like sliced bread at a grocery store.
Oh, yeah. Forget about it.
Bread's delicious.
Yeah.
Your diet's going to suck when the zombie apocalypse happens.
Well,
Not if you're a baker.
Yeah, a lot of people during COVID were baking bread.
Yeah. A lot of people learned to bake bread.
But what happened when you went to the store and were looking for bread flour?
Yeah, no, but hear me out. You're not wrong. The first thing people are going to do is grab, canned food and all that other bullshit. No one's going to grab flour thinking that they're going to need that.
That's the problem, is they grab anything. They're desperate.
Yeah, except, so my wife is pescatarian, so we get a lot of vegetarian, fake meats.
Fucked.
No. when everything was running out in the stores, I went to that frozen food, that Impossible Meat or Beyond Burgers, that shit was still there.
Yeah, nobody wants it.
So I was like, oh, great. She's happy.
Turns out people will still be picky in an apocalypse.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, think about this. This was so I wrote a play called The Zombie Monologues. When I released it as a book, I changed the name to Zombie's End. It's very World War Z. One of the reviews was, this is very World War Z, in a good way. But it's because people are telling their individual stories, and that's what the play was. The play was people talking about the horrible things that they had to do during survival. And this is probably one of my favorite stories in that collection, is the neighborhood dogs going feral. Like, after a certain amount of time, that story in particular, these guys looking for a place to hide, they go into a museum that was basically like, have you guys been to the Faulkner Museum in Winter Park? Mm-mm. It was basically some old dude's house, a mansion, it was a beautiful house, but it gets turned into a museum when he died. Mm-hmm. He donated it to the city. So they go into a building like that thinking this will be a good place to hide, but it is full of pack of dogs, feral dogs, that have formed a pack in this house, and they're being hunted now by these dogs in the house. And that's something that, like, again, you have a dog here,
yeah,
Clementine.
She's over here.
I mean, zombie apocalypse happens and you run out of dog food.
I will not have the heart to do it. I wouldn't. I'd have to have someone else do it. But, like...
do what?
Say it out loud.
No. There comes a point where my dog is going to think of me as food, and she's going to try and eat me, and she's going to win that fight.
No, what you do is you start cutting off your fingers one by one and start giving them to her as a treat.
Just make sure you leave the fingers on one hand, though, so you can work up the arms.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you run out of fingers and you're like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. Then she's going to kill you. But, I mean, to go even darker, and when you do this, when you think about how thin the strands that hold our society together are, what happens when people can't just go to the grocery store? People are going to start hunting. If they get hungry enough.
The most dangerous game.
The most dangerous game, Twister. Yeah, and that's, again, that I feel like and I know I've said this, in good zombie fiction, the zombies create the situation. We're all in here now. What sort of crazy dynamic could go wrong if you put a bunch of people together and say, you can't go outside, you have limited supplies in here? Eventually people are going to start being out for themselves. I mean, you guys are getting married, so I'm the odd one out. I'm food. Yeah.
Got it. We eat Todd first.
Yeah, eat me, feed me to the dog. Although I love dogs, so I'd be more like, hey, listen, if I die, just give me to the dog. But yeah, so you have society falling, and I think that's another aspect people fantasize about of zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, all the people who are preppers and build all these bug-out shelters miles away from town.
Yeah, or if you owe money to the IRS, or your credit card debt is so high, or student loans.
Or you get the psychos who start to go, okay, you remember Sue? She was kind of a bitch. I don't have rules anymore. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are people who who don't act on those things because of society. That's why I love it. I love the fantasy behind all of it.
There's so much headspace that you can get into and try and figure out. And it's all theories because we haven't seen it happen yet.
I mean, we've gotten a little taste of it. And I've seen that meme online of the people who are anti-mask and anti-vax are the people in the zombie movie who are hiding their bite, saying, no, I'll be fine.
Okay, hear me out, guys. You get bit by a zombie on your arm. Do you cut it off or do you leave it?
I try to cut it off.
Vroom, vroom. That arm is gone.
But how quickly?
Do you guys do it yourself or do you have someone else do it?
Oh, I'm not cutting off my own arm. Someone else is going to have to do it. I don't have the will to cut my own arm off.
But how quickly? I mean, if you think about, it depends on where the bite is, too.
Like,
if the bite
does it work?
Like, if it's on the shoulder, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Well, what will it even work?
Can
Or
someone
are you
suck it
screwed
out?
Either way.
You don't know, but you have hope. You want to live. Nobody wants to die. Or
That's a different story.
long pause.
There is something else, another aspect of zombie fiction that is fascinating is, what is that called? You may know. It's the Uncanny Valley, and are you familiar with that term?
Vaguely.
So it's in video games we experience it a lot, or in movies where something looks lifelike, like some sort of animation looks lifelike, but there's something just off about it enough to creep us out.
The soap opera effect, yeah.
There is something about zombies of your mother gets bit by a zombie. This thing looks like your mother, but it's not your mother. Can you shoot that thing? Can you shoot the thing that looks like your mother? And there was a Canadian mathematician. Oh man, I wish I thought to look this up before, to get his numbers right. But there was a Canadian mathematician who did the numbers based on the percentage of people who could shoot a loved one in the instance of a zombie apocalypse. And he went further into that and mapped out the exponential growth of the zombies based off of that statistic.
Just that alone, not anything else.
No, yeah, because it was, that's if everyone had a gun and, you get bit, could he kill you?
100%, yeah.
Yeah, but could you kill him?
Yeah.
Yeah, if he became a zombie.
Oh, sorry, you didn't mean now.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Happy birthday.
If everyone had guns and, the loved ones got bit, that based on that percentage, he was able to show his work and say, no, we're fucked. We're fucked unless we catch it super, super early. Now, you remember when COVID first came on the scene, the hot new thing?
Yeah, when it was
Everyone,
cool,
when it was
cool and
over
hip.
in Europe and everyone was like, oh, it's not going to come over to the U.S. Don't worry about it.
No, we take everything, guys.
Yeah. But remember, everyone's saying, yeah, we can get this wrapped up. There's only a few cases. And then it was, there's only 17 cases. There's 50 cases.
Oh, there's only
300.
4,672 cases.
Now, so there's also the formula of slow zombies. What is your game plan? Let's just say Romero-style zombies show up. What is your game plan?
Stairs.
Go to a cruise ship.
That's terrible.
They can't swim.
You know how many cruise ships were docked during COVID because they couldn't port? And how long are you going to get supplies out there?
You have to go
there's
to land
an ocean.
eventually.
Right.
Learn to fish.
How many of those have fishing rods, though?
I'll grab a fishing rod
And how
before I
many
jump on the
people-
boat, guys.
How many people on cruise ships during COVID did we experience a breakout?
No, I said I get a cruise
Just
ship.
you on the cruise ship alone?
I did not invite anybody else to
One
this
of
party.
one of the zombie monologue stories was a guy who made that decision to go onto a cruise ship, and it was the whole thing of, yep, there was one case. They found someone with one case. They locked them away in a one of the lower class rooms, and then it was suddenly, it's spreading.
No, he's fucking going overboard.
And you could see it working its way through the ship. And every time they tried to seal it in because they couldn't fight it anymore, it was, you have this class system. The people who are below deck are the lower class. The people who are upper deck have the balconies, but you see it working its way. So it doesn't care. Zombies don't give a shit how much money you make.
No. He's overboard.
Well, in that story in particular, they get overrun. And the main character of that story is on the deck of the ship when all shit's going down. Because the people who are locked below decks who weren't infected are basically trying to burn their way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't want to get...
Yeah, they don't want to die.
Yeah.
And you put them in a situation of they have to fight for their life. So that fire spreads. Now you have this ship that's, a couple miles out on fire. And the ship starts steering towards land. And the main character sees people on life rafts. But it's just like the Titanic. There's some ships or some boats with just one person on there. That's you. You're drifting away.
You're going to die of dehydration because you forgot to bring an oar.
It's fine because I would last better in the water than I will on land.
Well, the ship runs ashore, which I say is runs ashore. It's still 20 feet down. And he goes to jump off the ship. And as he's looking, ready to jump into the water, he sees zombies standing in the ocean, like staring up.
Just waiting for him to jump.
So he goes through the calculations. If I jump at an angle, you know, maybe I can kick my feet real fast.
Yeah.
And he gets a scratch. And there's not really any telling. Like, does it spread through a scratch? Or does it have to be a bite? So when one person does pull up with a boat and says, hey, get in, he actually does the right thing and says, I'll hold on to the back. Because he doesn't know if he's going to turn or not. He ultimately doesn't, because he's the one telling the story after the fact. But yeah, just I love the genre. The genre is great.
So, diving a little sideways.
Diving sideways.
Yeah, that's what I said. So, another thing that they've done with zombies is try to, I guess, humanize them a bit more. So, in, like, there's a TV show called iZombie, where, long story short, party happens, drug turns people into zombies, except they're not, they're human zombies. So, like, they still have human function, they can talk, they can use their brains and stuff, but instead of needing the brain to survive, you can eat other people's brain and get the memory of it. So, like, this chick is a detective, and, like, she'll go and eat the brain of some of the corpses, and they'll figure out how it was done.
Yeah.
Or, and I cannot remember the name of the movie, but it's like a Romeo
Warm
and
Bodies.
Juliet. Thank you. The Romeo and Juliet style movie where they eventually, I think they cured it in the end.
Yeah. The love was the cure.
Love. So, like, can zombies still love? Like, just the whole concept of it changing from, dead, lifeless into that is a different...
Could you be cured as a zombie? Only if you're fuckable. Because if you are not attractive, sorry, no one's going to love you. Take a bullet to the head.
You can't be funny as a zombie.
I like things like that are fun. Like, is it a zombie? Yeah. And that's the argument of, is a fast zombie a zombie? Yeah, because they said it's a zombie. Like, whatever excuse you give it to be a sentient zombie that can talk, and, yeah, sure. But there are going to be people that go, oh, you can eat the brain, so that's not realistic. Yeah, she's a zombie.
Well, we're talking about zombies here. Why are we arguing about realism?
Right.
Oh, hold up, guys. There's legitimately a thing on the CDC website about a zombie apocalypse, like zombie outbreak, like what to do. Like, that's a legitimate thing. COVID is my guess.
No, it was before COVID, but it was all things for any disaster. But they figured that would make it more fun.
Maybe it's how people will actually read it.
Yeah, my coworker told me about that. I was like, I'm sorry, what? This is real?
Something that I've always wanted to put in my house was I've always wanted to, like, cut a hole in the drywall and put in a big, like, display case, and in case of emergency break glass sort of thing, or in case of a zombie apocalypse, but have, the tools that you want. Sorry, that just brings what we were talking about before. What is your go-to plan? Like, what is your go-to tool to kill zombies?
Probably the baseball bat with nails in it sounds pretty effective.
Right? But you have to get real close, and if it's got nails through it, it's probably wood, so how long will that last?
Okay, hear me out. Metal baseball bat without nails in it, also a valid option. Because we went shooting, we found out I'm somehow a better shot than Zac is.
Probably beginner's luck.
Yeah.
But also, guns are shitty because...
They're loud, for one.
Yeah,
and you have to have ammo.
More, and you have to have ammo. If I have a blunt weapon, I don't have to, like... I'll use it when I need to, Like, I'll just go hang out on the roof kind of thing. They can't get me over there.
Hear me out. Now. Here's something that every household should have. Just a broom handle.
Right.
If you just whittle down the end of a broom handle, you have something that's around 4 to 6 feet long and can easily puncture a zombie skull.
Yeah, but you hit someone with it like a bat once and it's total.
Yeah, and with that, if you're going to puncture the skull, you need to go for the eye. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess you could hit the mouth if you hit it hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they're opening up their mouth, just go for the roof.
I think, I actually got one, not because I think a zombie apocalypse is real, but because I love zombie apocalypses, and if you think about it, an old school crowbar. Because if you have to pry open a door somewhere, you have that. It's heavy. If you've ever held one.
Or even if you just need to, like, say you're in an abandoned building and something falls and you crush your leg.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Having a pry bar to get that thing off your leg is a life-saving tool. If you use that with an axe handle, the axe handle is just going to break.
Mm-hmm.
Which, man, an axe. Like guns would probably be easier, because
but that's...
you don't have to be close. You don't have to, shoot that thing that looks like your mom. But I mean, man, if you run out of bullets, or you shoot that thing once and draw more zombies towards you.
You're making your situation
after ammo,
worse.
it's less effective than a brick.
Right. Yeah.
Just take the brick.
What you said about stairs. You guys have is this a 2-story house?
No.
Not at all.
So
most Florida homes are, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, we're not that fancy rich.
In Inhuman, he goes to one of his neighbor's houses, and what his neighbor did, he walks through and he's like, "Oh shit, this was smart. I should have done this." The neighbor ripped up the stairs. So he put everything upstairs and then ripped out the stairs so that if zombies did get in, they couldn't get up there. Which is a pretty solid move. Attics, we have attics here.
Yeah.
You could go in the attics. Yeah,
real hot.
Florida sucks for that.
Yeah. The roof is better.
There would be ways to work around that, though. If you put your water filtration system up there, because say you were going to have to purify water,
right?
Eventually, electricity is going to go out, and there's only so many Dasani water bottles that everyone hoarded.
Yeah, that's what you said there about electricity going out. Is the question: if all of a sudden zombies happen, they're everywhere. Who from the electric company is going into work?
No.
My dad's an electrician. I'll make him do it. It's fine.
But he could be an electrician all he wants. If the electric company shuts down, none of us have power. And I always wondered, would anything happen? If no one just went into work there, or everyone who was there died, would our power just naturally stay on? And it turns out it doesn't. We have a certain amount of time before it all shuts down.
So I had a thought when I started this sentence. Nope, it's gone. Okay, never mind.
I mean, even just this morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. because I felt hot.
Why?
And this is it. The power was out.
Oh.
Yeah, power was out this morning.
Nightmare.
It's just how fragile that entire system is. If it's only 4 hours until power goes out, think about these newer generations of people who have had the internet their entire lives. How the fuck are they going to entertain themselves? They don't know how to play a board game.
Look at Texas. Their power grid. They had it just happened again. But, last winter they had that snowstorm. They weren't expecting it to be like that. And you had millions without power. And you also have people in freezing weather who don't have access to heat. So you have people dying from that. It happens in Chicago and New York. Some of the older buildings don't have AC, which is mind-boggling because we're in Florida and you have to have it to survive.
And I think places in England and stuff still don't really have AC either. Just fans.
Well, I mean, this town right here, you would consider this a pretty normal American town.
Right.
There's still dirt roads here. It's all over the place. We're not fully developed.
You know what? Yeah. There are neighborhoods in Central Florida with multi-million-dollar homes and dirt roads. And I think it comes down to just not wanting to pay for them to be paved.
The inconvenience of having somebody pave your road.
Right.
And then having it repaved every 2.5 years. Where, they might block my driveway for a few hours. I really don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. I think if a zombie apocalypse happened, the best thing to do is, one, do you guys have an emergency kit?
I have a first aid kit.
Very minor. We could piece it together in probably an hour. It's not something that we have a duffel bag ready to go.
You don't have
No, we don't have no shit bag.
A go bag? Or what is it? Go bag? What is it called?
No, go bag.
Bug out bag.
Bug out bag.
Yeah, you know who does? Our roommate.
Oh yeah.
We have a compost bin out back.
Oh.
He wants to get chickens. Real loony.
My dog's just gonna eat them, but I mean, whatever.
Well, you know what? It's entertainment for everyone.
I have chickens for about 5 minutes.
I eat chicken too. I think if you can't have a bug out bag, first of all, if zombies are real, don't leave your house.
Yeah.
I think make your initial supply run when you have those, oh shit, this is happening. That's going to suck. There are going to be people fighting in every store. People are going to be fighting for supplies.
You gotta go to the weird, go to a toy store where not many people, in theory, are gonna go.
Well, I mean, think about it like this, right? Everyone's gonna go to Walmart. They're gonna go to Winn-Dixie. They're gonna be thinking, "Oh shit, I need food and water."
Someone somewhere is really gonna want Twister though, and they're gonna be lucky I went to Toys R Us and got it.
Well, hear me out. All of your hardware stores.
Yeah, they're gonna be hit first.
Yeah, hardware stores
by the employees who are currently there.
People are going to be trying to board up their houses, those are going to be pretty hit hard.
Like they were hit hard in the hurricanes.
But some places like places that have gift shops, where it's not a store but it has a gift shop, they're going to have bags of chips and
like gas stations, convenience stores,
and
malls.
We are kind of we have a little bit of an advantage in Florida because we're used to hurricanes now. So being prepared for a hurricane, which was another CDC thing of having certain things, I got as a gift from someone who knows that I love zombie stuff, a zombie survival package. And there's MREs in there. I think it has 8. But I haven't eaten them. I mean, I kind of want to. Just
to try it out.
Yeah.
Just order it off Amazon. Keep the other one.
You can get buckets of them. I think another thing, they sell buckets of, powder. Like, basically protein powder.
Yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't be ideal, but if you had something like that, it's giving you calories.
Well, even just, nobody's going to rate a GNC. But they have nutritional supplements that have everything you need to live.
I think it's the employees of places like that. Even when I was saying the museum, someone who works in that museum would say...
Yeah, I tell you what, I work at Lowe's right now.
Yeah.
If a zombie apocalypse happens, I'm taking the forklift and I'm barricading the doors with cinder blocks.
Right.
You're not getting in that store. I have all the water I need to survive for months. There's food there.
Did you read Inhuman?
Yeah.
They go to a Home Depot. And there's basically an old couple that has taken over the entire store. And they have the barbecue grills.
Yeah.
They have all of this stuff.
They got everything they need.
And what the main character does is they get overrun. Zombies end up taking over the whole Home Depot. And what he does is he climbs down. They're on top of the aisles. That's where they go to get away from them. And but they realize we're going to die up here, because we definitely can't go down there. So what he does is he starts crawling down to the section that has smoke alarms. And he gets the batteries from another section. He puts the batteries in the smoke alarms, and then he jams down the test button and throws it. So the sound of the beeping starts drawing the zombies away, and they use that opportunity to get the fuck out.
Oh, that's creative. I love that.
But, I mean, you've got smoke detectors here.
Yeah, it went off this morning.
Did it?
Yeah, when the power goes
went
out. It goes into its battery function and lets you know, hey, you don't have power, bro.
Less of a smoke detector and more of a power outage detector.
Yeah, more of an annoyance.
Woke my ass up.
That would scare the shit out of me.
Wake up at 5 in the morning.
It wasn't the proper going off. It was the low battery kind of going off.
Oh, the beep?
Yeah.
Still
annoying.
We used to have a sketch comedy troupe back in the early 2000s called Duty Humor. And one of our sketches was terrorists planning their next big attack on America. And all of their plans were these minor inconveniences to us. And it was, we're going to break into their houses. We're going to change their fire alarm battery with an almost dead battery. So it'll beep constantly. And then it'll be great. We'll win. And then one of the other terrorists is like, hey, if we're going to break into their house, why don't we just stab them, kill them in their sleep? And everyone's shocked that he would think up something so horrible. Yeah. That wasn't zombie related, but that was fire alarm related.
No, I still love that.
So yeah, I mean...
So we've pretty much gone over all of our bullet points at this point. Is there any particular zombie media you guys want to talk about?
Zombieland.
Zombieland. Jen, go ahead and talk about Zombieland here for a second.
I don't know, I like the concept of adding the humor with it. Ooh, no, you know what's better? Shaun of the Dead.
That's what I wrote down, Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead. They have a whole editing style where it's that quick boop, 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 boop thing.
Edgar Wright.
Thank you, yes. So just I don't know. The concept of, walking to the convenience store as the zombie apocalypse is like slowly starting to form behind you. And then, you know, at the end where he keeps his brother as a pet kind of thing.
Yeah. Or his friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's good how zombies and comedy somehow meld so perfectly together, because we automatically just think about existential humor.
Yeah.
And
it's a release.
Yeah, no, not to get dark for a second, but like when my mom died, humor is the one thing that like brought joy back into my life. So yeah, humor helps a lot.
Yeah,
with
if we're gonna talk
dark
about
shit.
something depressing, let's make it funny too.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, that way when my mom dies, I'll put a clown nose on her and then
Yeah, it works.
make
great.
everyone laugh.
It'll honk too.
Spray some water.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead is great for so many reasons, but in it, you know, they have that plan. What are we gonna do? And realistically, just stay inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if everyone just stays inside, I mean, you'll know which houses are dead because you'll hear the moaning, you'll hear the scratching on the door.
Well, and that's the question with 28 Days Later was how long does it take for a zombie to starve to death? You know, and that it ended up being 28 days. The zombie. So if everyone could just stay in for 28 days, but again, we learned from COVID,
like,
nobody will do that.
Nah, people
Give
will
it
want to
an
go on their
hour.
stress walks.
Yeah. Or it just like they'll be angry that McDonald's is closed.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go to Lowe's and demand to speak to a manager is what'll happen. We never closed the entire pandemic. There was not one day we were closed.
That's what I was going to talk about earlier. Essential workers in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. Well, and that I would say Lowe's is an essential. I mean, because if something breaks in your house.
Yeah,
but-
if a fire alarm breaks in your house, just to keep it close together, right?
Right.
And you need to get a fire alarm. Amazon can't do everything for us, because then you still have people going out.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, man, Amazon workers, an Amazon worker during a zombie apocalypse. Let's make that story happen.
Oh,
All right, Todd, make it happen.
That'd be a good book.
Yeah, but I mean, just
delivering packages.
the idea of what is this, and we stretched essential.
Oh, for sure. That was total corporate greed there.
I worked at...
I didn't need to run the store. We could have ran an online service.
No,
I
hear me out.
love Starbucks, but it's not essential.
Not at all.
I was working at Window World. Like, how is redoing your windows considered an essential...
Well, I mean, if you're arguing for that,
situation?
like
Well,
if you're
no,
up north and it's in the winter, it's essential.
But it wasn't.
But that's, again, you could run an online service. People can work from home for stuff like that. Sure, you'd have to restructure a bit.
I mean,
but I could have went in the store and treated it as a warehouse, and I could have delivered this stuff to people's cars.
I mean, but then you have it's all its own set of obstacles, because then do you have enough people to drive? Do you have it? I mean, if everyone is putting their orders in, like, that's going to be so many deliveries every single day.
Well, I tell you what, if everyone in Lowe's suddenly was part of their pickup team, yes, easily. Walmart, they could do it. Target, they already did.
Yeah.
It's easy to implement. Our Target did it best.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of nobody else wanted to do it. Because they can make more money by having people come in the store and add on purchases.
I mean, you have the Amazon drones, like dropping off things. I did see someone get Starbucks delivered by drone. Like, it was a video online, but it was pretty cool. They went to like a location where the drone didn't land. The drone dropped down on a cable their order, and they took it. The tray went back up into the sky, and it was like Starbucks from heaven.
I imagine that same tray just came down in front of the Starbucks drive-through window.
Yeah.
They're like, "Can I get your credit card, please?"
Just imagine someone spilling that coffee, driving to work, and coffee from the middle of fucking nowhere just lands on your car.
All
Or
the lawsuit.
your baby.
Hot coffee spilled from a drone.
All right, we did it.
Yeah, we fixed all zombie apocalypse problems.
I mean, unless you guys want to talk about more like zombie video games, like The Walking Dead, like from Telltale or something like that.
The Walking Dead is good as a genre.
It created a whole little universe, which is nice.
Yeah, when did the Walking Dead series come out?
I don't know. I was not a fan of the TV show.
I think it actually started in 2009.
I liked the video game, did not care for the TV show.
Because I remember being really young and still in elementary school when it happened.
Yeah, but you're like 12.
Yeah, 2010, you were close.
So close, yeah.
And you know what? The Walking Dead is a great example of the drama being the people itself. But I'll tell you what, I got behind on The Walking Dead, and every time I sat down to try to binge through the rest of it, I would start to watch it and I would go, oh God, this is not going to be a happy TV viewing experience.
Everything after the prison I hated.
That's where I stopped, the prison.
Yeah. They just ran out of stuff for you to care about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I still kind of want to go through it, but man, it's like, it's just going to be depressing.
The video games are better.
Yeah.
So much better.
No, you just have a soft spot for Telltale.
I named my dog after Clementine from the Walking Dead video games, so yeah.
There is, speaking of zombie video games and tying it back to something we said earlier, The Last of Us is coming to HBO Max.
Oh, wow.
As a TV series.
Awesome.
That's interesting.
With Pedro Pascal as the, what's that character's name?
Joel.
Yeah, Joel.
Yeah. So got the Mandalorian as Joel.
Okay.
That's going to be great.
Man, it's going to be a lot of our favorite sci-fi characters.
Yeah. Zombies.
Yeah.
Here, let me. I was just crossing out on the paper that we did it.
All right, zombies are done. Well, guys, thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Zombie Apocalypse. Jen, where you can find you and I at?
So you can find both Zac and myself at Instagram, YouTube, Spotify.
Yes.
At Nerd Culture is Dead.
And Todd, where can I find you and your luxurious glasses?
You can find both of them at toddferen.com, TODDFEREN.com, or you can find my books on Amazon just by typing in Todd Feren, and there are a few zombie books out there.
Well, fantastic. Don't get bit, guys, but stay safe and have a good night.
Bye!